So one of the big questions that we were asked several times is, what is step one? I'm interested now. What is step one? What's the one thing I need to get this project started?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times you're right. Where do I start? I don't know what lighting is. I know I've got something that I can see my way around my space, but step one is, reach out. Really reach out, because there's a lot of things that you can do on your own. You can do the research online. You can kind of look up what you have and try to find it, try to navigate. But until you really talk to somebody that knows what they're doing, is a really good idea. It's just like, fitness or dieting. If you're not used to it and you don't know what you're doing, it's going to take you a lot longer to figure it out, and you're going to make bad decisions. So it's best to just reach out, talk to people, look for the companies that are out there kind of educating you and want to help, right? So call is the first step. It really is.
What are some of the events or shows where I can learn more about lighting and get more educated and find out about these things? And which ones should I stay away from?
Well, there's the big trade shows where everybody's got a booth and you kind of walk around. Those are really hard to navigate. It's hard to really get good information. Mm-hmm. A lot of times they're just really
pretty overwhelming. And
they're promoting their wares, right? Their product, and it sounds great in their booth, but it may not be the product for you, for your facility. And then there's the smaller shows that are much more educational, that have seminars and have one-on-one sessions, and where you can actually engage and network with people in the industry. And I think those are the more important in the beginning for you to learn and educate yourself, because you're gonna make connections to companies that can really help you talk about what you're working through, as opposed to just walking through a major trade show.
And peers who are looking to do projects like you're doing too, right?
Correct.
And we've found just kind of what you're describing in the big shows, it can be overwhelming. You do end up, though, kind of with some one-on-one time, but you have to be a little bit more intentional about it. And then there's a lot of great opportunities out there for exactly what you're talking about. Shows that are I wouldn't even say shows per se. I would call them networking weekends, even, if you will, where they're putting companies like an FSG or another distributor or another supplier in front of businesses to help them answer some of these complicated questions. And so, yeah, I would definitely say that there's lots of opportunities. It's the education, which I love you saying. If you look at it from an education perspective, there's opportunities in both. Just one may take a little bit more work, a little bit more.
I like that you said both, because it's really all the above. Is you want to, if you're making a decision, a financial decision, that's important, right? So don't just talk to one company. Talk to several. Get to know people, get to know manufacturers. You may find something at a large trade show that's unique and new that no one knows. And for you to ask your current company that you're doing business with, hey, have you seen this? They should be excited, and they're going to want to do some research and educate you and themselves about that product.
We had an email come through about the trusted advisor role and how that's a little bit different than a salesperson's role.
Yeah, my philosophy is anybody that's, sits in front of you and talks very highly of their ware, talks to you about the bells and whistles and how great it is and makes it sound really good. That's a salesperson. And I think that's okay for those salespeople out there, but that's not our approach. That's not my approach. I never really want to do that. I want to really sit down and understand. I want to understand where you're at. I want to understand where you're going. And I want to shape a solution that meets your needs. And that may mean not spend any money, right? And that may mean, that we were going to spend a lot of money, but now we don't have to, because we know that you don't need all of that. So it's really, that's what it's about. And there should always be options, but ultimately you should be taught and helped along the way to make the best decision.
One of the things I've heard people ask, there's a lot of changes especially in lighting. I mean, companies get bought, companies get sold, companies discontinue products that they were supporting. Companies that you thought would be around, that are some of the big ones, aren't around anymore. And then there's companies that are just, startups, and companies that didn't even do lighting 5 years ago are doing lighting now.
Fly by night.
Fly by night is right. How do I future-proof my decision? How do I make a decision where I know, this industry's changing and, there may be some uncertainty for how things are going to be 5 or 6 years from now. How do I go about making a decision that takes that into account?
That's the scary part about our industry right now. It's hot. There's a lot of companies out there. It's changing a lot. I mean, the best way to understand it now is was the CBD oil? It's a new hot thing, right? Keto. There's a lot of snake oil and mirrors and stuff out there, and it's devastating to our industry as well, right? So you said it. Large companies are disappearing overnight. You've got smaller companies that are coming out and promoting this product, and it fails miserably. And 2 years from now, they're gone and you're left holding the bag. So it's a big problem in our industry. And I think that's on the manufacturer side. And where we sit is we're on the lighting distribution contractor side. So we have access to all of them. But I think what's important and to think about is we have the ability to help you learn about the different types of technologies and product to make the best decision, and help you be aware of those companies that may go away, that may not be around. But most importantly is you've got to maintain that. Lighting, unfortunately, I always kid around, it is disposable. It does fail, right? Even LED does fail. So we're not going anywhere, and we're here for the long haul. We want to be your trusted partner as well as your trusted advisor, that when it does fail, we're there to help you replace it. And so that's what's important. That's the difference between I don't want you to just buy my product. I want you to continue to do business with me. But yeah.
What's the difference, and I know this has come up a lot, what's the difference between the right product and the product that is available when I need it, and in the quantities that I need it for my solution? I mean, how much of that factors into what you're doing? Because you could go to a trade show and find the perfect bulb or the perfect fixture or the perfect solution, but it may not be available the way you think it should, right?
Or even available yet. A lot of times you go to trade shows and it'll be out Q4, and here we are, January.
The Q4
3rd.
that never comes.
Yeah, right. So the other thing is making sure that everything is made to order. Unfortunately,
right.
Especially with LEDs, no one's going to build a bunch of LEDs, set them on the shelf, and just collect dust.
And that's something people don't realize. I think there's not a GE warehouse full of all their new products.
No, there's not, and there's a lot of, it takes time, and there's time to manufacture it, put it together, assemble it, and then get it to the site. So, I mean, what's important to understand is that what is the length of time that it's going to take to get to the product to site. Certainly, if you're building and retrofitting, several sites or even hundreds of thousands of sites, getting product to there quickly and efficiently and at the right time. A lot of times we deal with construction sites where lighting is behind schedule, and manufacturers just can't get it there in time, and they can't open the store, and that's a big deal.
How do we navigate around that?
We navigate around that by helping. We order early, we order frequently. We plan ahead. We work with the manufacturer, and the manufacturer lets us know what their lead times are. Or is it 2 weeks? Is it 4 weeks? So it's coordination and communication is really key, especially when you're moving a lot of product.
That brings up something. So, a lot of times lighting people come into, especially new construction, late in the game.
Right.
When should a lighting contractor be involved in a construction project? I mean, to get the most amount of success and the best price, and how does that affect it?
During the design process.
Really?
I mean, I think the earlier a lighting person can be involved, the better. Certainly it's you want everybody involved in the project together early on to help make the decisions, to help solve for bad decisions, to help create budgets. And architects, they love to design, and they make things look really great, but the budget's not always where it needs to be.
So what would a lighting person know different than an architect early in the game? What kind of information would a lighting designer or a lighting distributor bring in?
Just knowledge and expertise of the industry. Architect's going to be focused on what makes it look good, what makes the space look good. But the lighting consultant, the lighting person is going to help provide a solution to create that environment, right? So, and not only provide a solution to create the environment, but size, shape, making sure the lumen package is right, but delivering the intent to that design. But then the most important thing is they have access to real cost.
Right.
Real costs, real budgets, and they can tell the owner, hey, we're way over budget, and the architect needs to come up with a different solution or strategy.
Or there may be a better solution that's not as expensive, but still provides the same look and
Correct.
feel, right?
Correct.
And Stephanie, I want to ask you, because you work in the guide center, right? And you're sitting across the table right now from a trusted advisor. So I've got a guide and a trusted advisor here. And so I want to ask you, when you're hearing these customers that are calling in or emailing, right? We get a lot of calls, a lot of emails a day, right?
Correct.
And you're getting these, is Bobby telling the truth? Is this really how it works? Are we getting, does it
Bobby,
really?
you'll need to leave the room for this part of the conversation.
Does it really work this way for our customers?
Full disclosure, yes, we get calls daily about customers that are frustrated because whoever they were working with just up and left. And they're in the middle of a project and they don't know what to do. And then when we follow up with them, 3 or 4 days later, and someone has already reached out and communicated and set up a plan to meet, there's just this sense of relief you can hear in their voice.
One of the leaders in our company recently was quoted in one of our meetings as saying, people aren't calling asking for bulbs anymore. They're calling asking for help. And you're experiencing a lot of that, right?
We get what I would consider random calls for help with basic technology, the things that go at the front of your door that alert you that someone's there. Someone called and asked if it was waterproof. Well, we don't sell that, but he had used our company and knew that we were trusted people and called to see if we could help him.
And I think that's one of the interesting things here is this convergence. Everything is connected and talking now. And I want to ask you, Bobby, from your seat, that adds a whole nother layer of complexity that we really haven't talked about today. We've talked about lighting today, but from your seat, how do you tackle that when a customer looks at you and goes, well, like Stephanie just said, is the front door sensor, is it waterproof and is it going to affect my lighting?
We're constantly doing our homework. So it's unfortunately we can't always have the right answer. And in fact, I don't know the answer, right? Is it waterproof? We've got to do our homework. Mm-hmm. We've got to look it up, and that's where we help, right? So we may have the right answer right away, but a lot of times it's better if we double check.
Right.
Let me get back to you. Let me get into the specification sheet. Let me make some calls. Let me do some research. And with our research or with our, experience and our expertise, we can do it much, much faster. And we can ensure that it's the right answer when we give it to you. And I think that's most important. And that's the unknown. That's the help that a lot of people have is, even if they call and they ask for help, they get an answer, but if it's not the right answer, that's a problem.
Right.
And so it creates more of a challenge. So we really try to stay focused on let us do the research, let us do the work for you and get you the right answer.
Well, and lighting exists in so many more technical ecosystems now than it ever did before. Your lighting installation can affect your networking, because lightings have MAC addresses and they communicate, and they can affect your Wi-Fi. I know we were just on the East Coast talking to somebody, and the lighting affected, I can't remember what it was one of the channels of their safety walkie-talkies.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So they had to change the lights because the lights they installed interfered with the safety channel frequencies where other lights didn't. So there's so much more other ecosystems that you have to be aware of.
I think what's cool too is the ecosystems are in the lighting.
Right.
So there's Bluetooth, Zigbee, these communication channels can be run through lighting. Sensors, cameras are on lighting fixtures now. It's really, really cool to see that, because if you think about it, lighting is where all of this is going to live. And when you're in a room performing a work or a task, is there a light above you?
Sure.
There is. So I think what we're going to find is lighting is the answer and solution for all things, especially IoT.
I've heard a lot of IoT people say that lighting is in the perfect location to be the mesh network or the platform for a lot of those things that have really nothing to do with lighting.
Yeah, and you said kind of a cool term that maybe is easier to understand. It is like a net. It's mesh. So if you've got a sensor, a switch on a wall, it's basically one in the room. But if you've got 300 or 300 light fixtures, that's a mesh network.
Right.
That's really cool to think about. Think about light poles, light posts, all over the place. There is lighting, a bridge, a tunnel.
Well, yeah, and we haven't even really talked about civic lighting because when you're talking about networking, it's one thing to have all of the lights on your floor networked, but if you've got a string of street lights that go miles down the road, and to be able to have insight into them into one location, or to know what they're doing, that really becomes.
We're seeing modems and wireless 5G routers being put into light fixtures today all over roads.
Well, that makes it more simple. Well, at the end of the day, that does kind of go through future proofing, and that is, if all of this is going to happen, what kind of decisions do I make now, or what kind of questions do I ask now so that platform's there and that I'm not having to change all of this every time a new technology comes? I don't want to have to buy a new iPhone every 6 months. What kind of questions do I ask, and to think about that ahead of time?
Yeah, I mean, you came up with the hardest question and challenge, I think, of the day with that one, because let's think about it. Like, we all have limited resources. We don't have enough money to buy the best. And in fact, the best is not what we need. But what we need is a strategy, and what we need is a way to scale. And so if we're maintaining and putting replacement products in, that probably not going to be a good way to scale and get to the technology I need and want. But there are ways to get to the technology you need and want in a process, right? So if it's lighting components or fixtures now and controls later, we want to make sure that the lighting components we put in are compatible with the controls later when we're thinking about it, right? And certainly when you think about a portfolio of locations, you're going to have some money to spend on new locations, but on the old ones maybe not. And so strategically thinking about how do I keep a consistent brand and model, and what are some things and technologies that I can utilize to go backwards?
How does this is a whole new topic, but it made me think of it. How does codes and changing codes and building codes and lighting codes, how does that affect our choices? I know, some places like California have really strict codes and have really specific codes. Other places are looking towards those. How does that affect our choices and changes?
Well, now we're really going to scare everybody away because it's complicated. It's when we were talking about utility rates earlier. So yeah, building codes, local, national codes are very, very difficult to understand if you're not a lawyer, right? Or if you're not familiar with it. So it's you definitely have challenges, especially when you retrofit a facility in California compared to Texas, right? So that their city and local codes are extremely different. So understanding that, working with a company that can help you navigate that, and to specify technology and product to make you, because you think about it, California, Title 24, you need to spend a little bit more money on controls and devices that you don't need in Texas. And so, as a company, am I helping you navigate that and helping you spend less in Texas? So because you don't need it, right? But then maybe give you the capability to add it if you want.
And also, it comes back to the trusted advisor conversation. It's an advantage to work with a company that works in multiple locations if you're a business that has businesses in those multiple locations.
We're knowledgeable. We've experienced it. We've gone through it.
Thank you so much, Bobby, for your time, and for everyone for having a great conversation about lighting. I know there's a lot more topics that people have questions about, and I know there are a lot of more questions people have. But if you need to get answers to those, you can always send us an email at questions@wiredin.tv, or you can ask in the comments section of the YouTube. And if someone wants to find out more information about FSG, Brandon, how could they find out more about FSG?
Go to www.fsgi.com. You can give us a phone call. You can fill out a form, send us an email. You can even live chat with us if you'd like. And we'll be happy to answer your questions.
Excellent. Thanks, guys.